Well, good afternoon. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the April 1st, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. If you are online, if you're here with us in the committee room, if you would mute your devices on manners mode unless you need to speak on an item and you're calling online. And to make public comment, please use the raise hand function or approach the podium and make sure you turn on the microphone. And if you are addressing the committee, if you will identify yourselves for staff reports and public comment. We will not discuss any additional business once we've completed the agenda today. So Jennifer, if you'll read the first item, please.
Number 6A, application for a restaurant liquor license filed with the city clerk's office for Rebecca Andrew Ventures Incorporated, doing business as Mr. Jim's Pizza, 4001 Laramie Street, Unit A, Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Staff report.
Madam Chair, Chris Jones, City Clerk. This is just a application for a restaurant liquor license for the Mr. Jim's that's located off of College Drive, and I'd stand for any questions.
Any questions from committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman White.
Madam Chair, through you to Chris or the representative from the organization. Do we have many of these as far as restaurant liquor licenses that are in pizza, like the Mr. Jim's, Domino's, anything like that, the pizza organizations that traditionally deliver? Because I was trying to think of many and I didn't know really of many other than the Pizza Huts, but.
Madam Chair, through you,
Yes.
with the restaurant liquor license, they're not allowed to deliver alcohol, only
Okay.
food.
So it's just
They,
on site.
it's on site only, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Councilman Cook.
yes, and again, either for Clerk Jones or the representatives. I'm not sure if you can answer this question or not, but how much seating are we talking in that area? What size is the area that we're talking?
Madam Chair, to Mr. Cook, I am not aware of the size of the location. I would have the representative answer that.
Good afternoon. If you'd make sure you identify yourself
I'm Mike. I'm with Mr. Jim's Pizza.
and your last name, Mike?
Gary,
Gary, thank you.
there's 60 seats in the dining room.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I had, Madam
Any-
Chair, for the representative.
Any other questions from committee? Okay, any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and from Councilman White and a second from Councilman Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? This will move forward with a do recommend at the council meeting on Monday night. Thank you.
Number 18B, professional services agreement between the city of Cheyenne and Atmos Technologies for a supply of alternative daily cover foam for the city of Cheyenne Happy Jack landfill.
Good afternoon, Chair, committee members. I'm TJ Bartlebort, Purchasing Manager for the City of Cheyenne. This is technically a sole source purchase, and this item needs to be resubmitted as a consideration to purchase with additional sole source paperwork that was not submitted with this agenda item, including the legal advertisement, providing public notice of the intended purchase. This item will be resubmitted on the next agenda for consideration at the April 15th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. I would respectfully request that you do not approve or pass this professional services agreement. Thank you for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
So do we need to take any, can we choose not to take any action at this point? Okay. Anybody on the committee have a problem with that?
Just want to make sure this isn't an April Fool's Day. Is that enough that I wore a suit today?
On April Fool's Day, that's right.
Just making sure they didn't slip one.
Okay, for expedience sake, we will not consider this item and we'll look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Thank you. Next item. Oh, go ahead.
Point of clarification, Madam Chair. I think that we do have to either vote it down or just not say anything when you bring up a motion.
Okay.
Okay.
So we still have to do public comment then as well.
Right.
Okay, so, sorry, TJ, I'm trying to do it quickly. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. Hearing none, we will dispense with this item for 2 weeks. Thanks.
Number 18C, grant agreement for Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant Funds between the City of Cheyenne and State of Wyoming Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites, and Trails for the Belvoir Ranch Trail, Belvoir Ranch Recreation Fund, and Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant.
Staff report, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. I'm Renee Smith. I'm the Economic Resource Administrator. Before you, still isn't roll. Before you, it does. So this is a grant agreement between the City of Cheyenne and the Wyoming Outdoor Rec. And then this is American Rescue Plan money that has to be spent by 2026, but it's for the Trailhead project. And I believe it included in the packet was the budget. This includes the restroom, a kiosk, access, some upgrades, parking, all of that, and it's available for questions.
Any questions from committee?
Oh, go
I'll let Mr.
ahead, go ahead, Mr. White. I mean, you're not wearing a jacket. I mean, go ahead.
Madam Chair, through you to Renee. Renee, just one quick question. I noticed, and first of all, let me say thank you for this and anything that we can do to finally make substantive progress on Belvoir Ranch trails. I'm in complete support of, but I did have a question in talking with Dr. Aldridge before the meeting started. The performance period is somewhat longer than what we normally see. The project from April 2024 through the end of 2026. Is it really expected that long to establish a trailhead area?
We
And
were
Mr.
actually
Cox
hoping to
behind
get
you.
this is just because it's American Rescue Plan money. This is
Okay.
the performance period for ARPA. All of our ARPA has the same exact performance period.
Okay.
But Mr. Cobb can give you an update on our actual plan.
Madam Chair, through you to Councilman White. So we expect to have that out to bid here within the next month and a half. Now, that's caveat is our consultant needs to finish a few things and hopefully we're not backed up too far upstairs in purchasing, but I can't speak on their behalf. Okay.
And can you identify yourself for the record,
Oh,
please?
sorry. Tom Cobb, City Engineer.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee? Mr. Councilman White?
I'll just say thank you again, and that's great news. So
Councilman Cook?
I was also gonna ask that same question, Madam Chair, just based off our conversation before the meeting. That was the question I was gonna ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes,
Councilman Johnson?
Renee, so are all of our ARPA grants, are all of them 25% match typically or was it just a specific one?
And just the specific one.
And I see it also includes a picnic shelter as well. So, okay. Any other questions from committee? Okay, any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve in an amount of $486,736 with the city match of $121,684.
second,
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Cook and a second from Councilman White. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Okay, and that item is unanimous and we'll go forward to our city council meeting with a due recommend on Monday evening. Next item.
Number 19A, contract modification number 2 to contract number 7531 between the City of Cheyenne and Waste Management of Colorado Incorporated for recycling services through April 15th of 2025.
Staff report, please.
Vicky Nemechek, Public Works. This is our second of 3 annual extensions to the recycling contract with Waste Management. And we are asking for a little more, $250,000 versus the $200,000 that we've been operating on. Inflation is catching up with us. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, any questions from committee? Councilman Johnson.
Through you to Vicky. So I know it's either been 1 or 2 years now where you introduced that we could actually do glass. Was there any other ramifications or any other amendments they had on specific types of recycling that were either added to their program that we could now recycle, or did they retract anything that we're now not allowed to recycle since the last update?
Through you, Chair, no, the fabulous five, I like to call them, are cardboard cans, which must be clean and dry, paper, plastic, numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5, and glass, food and beverage grade only.
So to hear you correctly, no changes since last time.
No changes since last time. That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee? Okay, any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve an amount not to exceed $250,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman White and a second from Councilman Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this item will move forward unanimously to the council meeting on Monday night with do approve. So next item.
Number 20A, consideration of bid number E-11-24 for 6 trucks for the city of Cheyenne, mid-size 1-ton cab and chassis, 2019 to 2022 optional 1% sales tax fund, 2021 specific purpose option tax fund, and weed and pest fund.
Thank you. Staff report.
Vicky Nemechek, Public Works. I drew the short straw today, but these are vehicles for both the Public Works and CRE departments. The weed and pest, facilities maintenance, fleet maintenance, street and alley, and parks are all receiving one vehicle from this, and the total expenditure is $364,251.
Okay, are there any questions from committee?
Sorry, there's 6 trucks.
Okay, Councilman Johnson.
First question. So this is the first time, and I guess it must be because I took a year to do the presidency thing. Is this our normal way of we're going to be starting to see these things as an evaluation tabulation instead of the way that it was done in the past in regards to our bids?
Chair, through you to Councilman Johnson.
And your name, sir?
Sorry, TJ Bartlebort, Purchasing Manager. So the tabulation that you see included in your packet, so the city's transition to OpenGov included transitioning to their procurement software. And so the evaluation tabulation that you're seeing is the automatic report that spits out. So the manual Excel bid tabulations that you used to see that I was manually creating is now done automatically in software, which is a great time savings for me, but it does just look a little bit different. So that is how you'll see those moving forward, though.
Okay, and since this one was a little easier to read because it looked like you only had 2 perspectives, but it looks like Fremont Motor Company didn't actually submit a bid. So the way that this is going to read, is it going to be a landscape or more of a portrait in regards to how to read these so that if, say, more than 2, will I see them tiered out in landscape going across for each individual? And then that says whether or not we have a bid or not?
Chair, through you to Councilman Johnson. That's correct. It will generally always display the vendors left to right across as the column headers, and then all of the rows of information below will apply to each of the bids. Sometimes depending on if the bids have way more bids or way more line items, it does render a little bit differently just to display that data in the most space effective way, but generally this is the format it'll follow.
Okay, and then an actual legitimate question instead of a tech thing. So on these 6 vehicles, what type of warranties do we typically get on these products, or do we get anything? And I can't really tell if these were new or used with like minimal mileage to get a better price. So I guess those are 2 questions. 1, warranty, 2, were they new or used?
Sure, if you could, one moment, I can certainly pull that up for you.
So that's what we're trading. Well, that's the traded. So we're next to 2000.
They're 2025 on here
Oh, so it's new.
and 2024, 25.
Chair, through you to Councilman Johnson. So just to confirm, all of the vehicles being purchased are new non-used models. All the old information you're seeing on there is the trade-ins that we're doing. The warranties that we're getting are Ford's factory warranty for powertrain and engine transmission and those things. So their factory, I can't remember the exact 3 or 5 years, whatever that is, but it's the Ford factory warranty. In a full warranty from the get-go.
No further question.
Any other questions from committee? I had a question for you, and I don't know if you can answer this, TJ, or if it'll be someone else, but I'm just curious, from these 6 trucks, how many of these will be home garaged?
Chair, do you mean like a take-home vehicle or,
Yeah.
I'm not positive that Vicky might know. I don't,
None of them will be Vicky Nemechek, Public Works, none of them will be take-home vehicles.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions from committee? Okay, any public comment? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the bid from Ken Garf Cheyenne in an amount not to exceed $364,251.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman White and a second by Councilman Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? This will go forward unanimously with a recommendation to approve. Next item, please.
Number 20B, consideration of bid number E-13-24 for 3 motorcycles for the City of Cheyenne Police Department from 2019 to 2022 optional 1% sales tax fund.
Staff report.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Joel Hickers with the Cheyenne Police Department. What you have before you is a request to purchase 3 new police motorcycles to replace the 3 that have been retired and auctioned. The total cost for these 3 would be $76,493.34. Right now, our motors program is inactive because we do not have motorcycles. This would help us to reactivate that more specifically through our traffic program. As we know, traffic enforcement is an ongoing priority within Cheyenne, and this would help us to enforce more effectively.
Okay, are there any questions from committee? Councilman
Yes.
Johnson.
So TJ, can you come back up here? It's more of a tech one again. I'll just continue. So since Joel brought it up and in regards to this, since Joel said that the motorcycles were sold at auction, and I know you said in the last statement that this was how OpenGov was going to work, but I didn't really see anything in the summary that I can see that we had put the amount that we got from the auction. So it just kind of looks like a clean cut that we're purchasing new ones without the information of, what we got in on our either trade-ins or auctions. So does OpenGov have a feature that we actually do that, or is it always going to look this clean that it's just coming out of a specific fund instead of what we may have got on our auction or trade-in?
Sure. TJ Bartlebort, Purchasing Manager, Chair through you to Councilman Johnson. So for the purposes of the discussion for today, all of this bid consideration is proposing is the purchase of new motorcycles. The information Lieutenant Hickerson provided about the trade-ins, that I think that was maybe just more supplementary information. I can certainly pull you up the auction proceeds and tell you what we received for those units. It looks like I'll just list you the total amount post-commission that we received for and actually 5 motorcycles were traded in total, 1 Harley, 4 Victories. 3145, 3570, 3570, 3995, and $4,080. So those were the trade-in values received for the 5 motorcycles sold. So this bid consideration had no trade-ins to consider because they'd already been sold at auction previously last fall. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I guess so. Really, in the future, we're going to leave the OpenGov stuff alone, and any supplemental information would come from that specific department in our summary, so we knew kind of what we were doing. Okay, very good. Thank you both.
Any other questions from committee? Okay, any public comment? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the bid from PSCO1 LLC DBA Northern Colorado Power Sports in an amount not to exceed $76,493.34.
Second.
Okay, so was that Councilman Johnson? Yeah. Okay, we have a motion from Councilman White and a second from Councilman Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The recommendation from the Finance Committee will be to adopt at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item.
Number 20C, consideration of bid number S-8-24 for an agreement between the City of Cheyenne and JTL Group Incorporated doing business as Knife River for Powder House and Carlson Intersection Signal Project from 2019 to 2022 optional 1% sales tax fund.
Staff report.
Good afternoon, Tom Cobb, City Engineer, Madam Chair, members of the Finance Committee. Before you and your consideration is an agreement between the City of Cheyenne and JTL Group doing business as Knife River. A bid opening was conducted on March 18th, 2024 at 2 p.m. We had 2 respondent bidders, JTL as doing business as Knife River and Advanced Electric Contracting, Inc. out of Sheridan. Mr. Burden and I have reviewed the bids and we recommend acceptance of a bid of $1,229,369. The project is expected to be complete by August 23rd, 2024, and the funding is the fifth penny sales tax. This is the signal for the new Coyote Ridge Elementary School, so we'll have full pedestrian crossings, and we're hoping to get started right away. Now, with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions from committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Councilman Johnson.
So looking over the document, the one thing that kind of threw me off is why didn't the school district assist us in any kind of, monetary amount? I mean, this is obviously going to benefit their school. I see it goes a little further west on Carlson than necessarily the school, but this entire corridor seems to, and as you stated, this is all with Coyote Ridge. I'm just wondering why they didn't help contribute to this project.
Madam Chair, through you to Councilman Johnson. Councilman Johnson, this was a meeting that took place when I first got here. There was an agreement that was done between the previous administration and the school district.
Just a follow-up then. So since you've kind of reviewed the engineering documents and having gone through this with a couple other school districts on usually when it comes to the public safety, and I know you guys have your team that meets roughly about once a month. So when it comes down to it, in their engineering agreement with the city and the school district, did they actually say that they were waiving, their rights? Because I know that's what's happened in the past is when they try to make their budgets work for either their building, their parking, their landscaping, all that stuff, that they typically waive their right to either the hawk systems, the crossing systems, stoplights. So did they waive all that this is now 100% city's responsibility and we don't have really any recourse in the future for, it's always going to be under our purview to either maintain this stoplight, maintain the crosswalks, maintain the intersection, that this is all our responsibility and the school district has waived all its rights on that?
Madam Chair, through you to Councilman Johnson. So these are all within public right of way. So these are under our maintenance. There is no maintenance by the school district. They're responsible for their entry and subject to that is that all within their site. This is ours. And it does, just to make you feel better, Councilman Johnson, this signal was warranted. The traffic will be there. So we required it regardless of whether the school was there or not. As we push Carlson through, it's even going to become more apparent to you.
Any other questions from committee? I did have one question for you, Mr. Cobb. As the land develops to the north of Coyote Ridge and Carlson goes all the way through, will the district then be responsible for any lighting or crosswalks or anything that will go to the north from their property as for additional traffic control?
Madam Chair,
pedestrian.
are you referring to Carlson itself, or I'm not sure the question?
Well, as Carlson continues to go through over to Converse, there will obviously be some traffic signage and lighting and probably, I'm guessing, through Carlson that would be east of Powder House, but would be west of Converse, that would be within the district's boundary, basically, for Coyote Ridge Middle School. Will that signage and those lights or anything that we do there, would that then be at the school's discretion?
Madam Chair, so the adjacent street that would run north-south, which I can't remember the name right now, there'll eventually be a street that runs on their east boundary that they will be responsible for a portion thereof. But we did do an agreement which came before the governing body, which did spell out their responsibilities on Carlson itself. We did contribute a portion of that, as you're aware. But as we move further east, the only thing that they'd be responsible for is removing some of the temporary detention that's there now and making sure that water then goes to where it's supposed to go as we move forward. That's it.
Okay, so no pedestrian crossing or anything at that?
Not,
east-
none planned at this time. no.
North-South Street. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from committee? Any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve in an amount not to exceed $1,229,369.
I second with caution.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman White and a second with caution by Councilman Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, this item will move forward with a recommendation from the Finance Committee to be approved and at the next meeting. So next item.
Number 21A, request to extend the time period in which the Blue Stem Wine House LLC has to become operational for an additional year for their winery license located at 1909 Warren Avenue, Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Staff report.
Madam Chair, Chris Jones, City Clerk. This is a request to park this license for a second year. They're working hard to get open. They're just not ready yet. And their first year of park status is going to expire, I believe, in April. They have been held up by a requirement for a handicap ramp that is specialized equipment, to my understanding, that's been ordered, but it's not here yet. We have issued them, they got a temporary CO, and we've issued them a conditioned license at this time to start production, but they are not operational. They are just in the production mode, and they will be fully operational once they meet those requirements.
Any questions from committee? Councilman Johnson.
So I guess the one thing I was going to ask is if your team had actually discussed with them of whether it was beneficial or cost effective, because I believe the new license is 1,500 and then the renewal is 1,500 as well, correct, on a winery license?
Madam Chair, through you to Mr. Johnson, I believe that's correct, but I would have to look. I'm pretty sure that's right. They had a choice to come forward and put in their application for the winery license when they did, or to wait, and we did advise them it would be okay to wait. However, they chose to submit their application, so.
Okay, and so this is the first time I've actually heard of a temporary CO just for production. So
Mhm.
what actually goes into that beside, because that really means that they're not open to the public because they don't have a certificate of occupancy to generate public. So really, it's just the staff members that are allowed under a temporary occupancy. But that does not allow them any offsite dispensing or anything else. It just is for the production only, correct?
Madam Chair, through you to Mr. Johnson, absolutely correct. And we did have conversations with the liquor division as well, and they are well aware that the only thing they can do at this point is produce. Period.
And yeah, because that was not necessarily on their part, but when it comes down to it, because I believe winery licenses there's no limit, correct? That they're not capped. We have unlimited winery, brewery, and I think restaurant is the three that we
Correct.
do. So, I mean, in the future, I just want to make sure that staff was notifying them that, if it was more cost effective to come back instead of parking, that they could, come back at any time and
Madam Chair,
do that. Okay.
staff did have that conversation with the applicant.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Any other questions from committee? Any public comment? Do you guys want to say anything?
Brandon Erdman, Blue Stem Wine House.
Virginia Erdman, Blue Stem Wine House.
Awesome. Madam Chair, through you, I think that pretty well summarizes where we're at. I mean, we have expected this project to be done a long time ago. There's numerous delays on construction, meeting requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's the need to park it. We are currently in production, as discussed. And hopefully that gives us, by the time we're done meeting all the ADA requirements and get the full CO, that we'll actually have product ready to go.
Any questions from the committee for the Erdmans? Thank you so much for being here today.
Amen.
Okay, hearing no other public comment, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Cook.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Cook and a second by Councilman White. All those in favor say aye. Okay, this item will move forward with a recommendation to approve at the next governing body meeting. We are adjourned.